What's up, mobile gamers? It's Dronzer Gigs, and today we are going to be talking about my thoughts on the new 3v3 switch mechanic. So we're just going to go ahead and hop into a game right now, and I'll just kind of talk to you guys about like my thoughts and stuff. I'd say that I pretty much have three things that I want them to change about the switching, because overall, I would say I'm not really too excited about the switching. But I definitely think it's growing on me as like a casual aspect of the game. It's definitely not something you want in competitive play, because then you just have a bunch of countering, and doing that really limits who you can play on this roster, because as much as T3 is very good at balancing, there are a few heroes who really excel at certain areas and can counter other heroes, even if most of the heroes are balanced. So you definitely kind of get into that OP tier of heroes when you're talking about switching. And I would say that's probably one of the smaller concerns, is that the whole countering aspect, where you know they're going to probably switch off of Victor because he doesn't counter anybody on our team. And so, like, for instance, Fade counters Victor pretty good. And you'll see there that it looks like he's actually lagging, so we're not going to count that as an example of countering the enemy here. So we'll grab this Sentry. Oop, hit the wall. Anyways, so what I'm saying is, basically, the countering is definitely a big argument that a lot of people have, where they're like, you know what? Now I can't ever play Johnny Jet because they're just gonna pick, you'll see, yep, he picked Fade to counter my Fade. So I'm not really the kind of person that likes to sit and counter all the time, for sure. That's not like my style. Oh, she's already dead. Anyway, so that's not really my style is what I'm trying to say. So I won't be switching off of Fade because my goal is to level him up. And that kind of brings us into the second con of the switching mechanic. So the first one obviously is your countering. I think that it's definitely not super healthy for the game to make all these matches rely on countering their picks, especially with, you can see he chose Fade, and so he teleported me right into the base here, so we're gonna die. And if he would have stayed Victor, we'd easily have won that encounter. And so that's kind of what I mean from the countering perspective, which I don't like the switching for that perspective. And then my other kind of reasoning behind not liking switching for a lot of people is going to be leveling up heroes. So you'll see here that the goal is to level up our hero. We're gonna grab this, we'll put them back there. Oh, I thought actually we got both of them, but I guess not. So leveling up heroes is very difficult, especially because now that you can change, if you want to level up a certain hero, then you can only play that hero while you're leveling them up. And that's the biggest downside that I can see. Pretty sure we got the... Yep, we're dead here. See if our teammates can help us here. They cannot. So as you can see, now for some reason we have the Zero Kelvin on our team, but we are trying to counter the Sindri and their Fade, and I cannot switch because I'm trying to level up Fade and get into a respectable glory level, so I can't change off of him if I want that XP. And that is one of the biggest downsides to the switch mechanic that I see, is if you want to level up a hero, then you have to stay with that hero. And they do have something in place where, like, if I were to switch now, it would give me proportional glory points, right? But they already removed the win bonus, the MVP bonus, and the SVP bonus. So you are only going to get, I think, what is it, 8 total if you stay on the same hero and win the match. You only get 8 points towards your glory levels, which is just a very small number. and something I'm not really a fan of. So we'll try to help our teammates out here a little bit while we're talking. Unfortunately, it is a little tough. We're going to teleport her over here so we can get rid of her real quick. But when you're switching heroes back and forth, you're not going to be able to get these glory points for the heroes that you're trying to level up. I have no idea how that hit me. He hit the wall before he even hit me, and then kind of skated along it. But so we're going to lose, and I'm going to basically get no points for all the work I did with Fade and not switching off of him because I want to level him up. And that Fade, even though he's doing really good and carrying his team, he is only going to get 8 points. Even if he's MVP, just for winning, he only gets 8 points. And I think that's pretty cruddy for anybody that wants to level up their heroes, because you are getting almost no rewards for all the hard work you do, especially with all the matchmaking changes here, because they're not going to rush out at us now, because it's going to see if we can't get like a last minute kill here. Yep. So we lost. That was a really close game because of the new matchmaking, and let's see what I get for it. I didn't get it doesn't matter if you get SVP because you don't get any points for it. So 7 kills, really tough match, even though I wasn't paying attention too much, and I get nothing for that. And that's honestly really cruddy. So I'm sitting here trying to level up Fade for you guys, and I can't really get anywhere, because even if I win the next match, which it's going to be a bot match, which is one of the things I'm going to talk about later, the switch mechanic means that I can't switch off if I'm trying to level up a hero. And if I do switch, then that hero is going to get less levels. So not only is it only 8, if I were to stay on Fade the whole time, I get 8 of those glory points towards his levels, right? If I were to do Fade Vincent Johnny, and I do really good with Johnny, then he gets like 6 of them, and Fade only gets 2. And so I really can't level Fade up unless I go loss, win a bot match, loss, win a bot match, because there's no MVP points, there's no SVP points, and there's honestly no incentive to grind now, because my next match, if we win this, is going to be very difficult.
2, 1.
It's going to be people that are on my supposed skill level, which, like, let's say Gloria is my best hero and she's upping my skill level for my account. Well, it's going to be really hard for me to play as anybody but my top heroes, because my MMR is set at a higher level. So whenever I want to rank up a lower tier hero that has a lot less glory points, it's going to be very difficult for me to do that. And then on top of that, you incorporate the fact that you can switch into the game, and it makes everything really difficult. So you'll see the Kazuma and the Osas are doing pretty good, and they're kind of a little difficult to counter here. We're going to go ahead, probably die to the Kazuma if he has his ultimate. Grab the Iris. So now if I switch and do really good with 2 other heroes, they get no glory points. And let's say I switch like 5 times. Well, it's going to give the glory points to my best hero. And that is one of the biggest problems that I have with it, is that you are going to put all this work in to level up your heroes and get glory points, and it's basically going to amount to nothing now that they've changed not only the matchmaking, but the fact that you have switching in the game. So it makes it really hard to level up your heroes. And even though we're going to win this because it's a bot match, obviously it's going to be super easy. But that switching and that leveling up of heroes is going to be very difficult. So all these new players that they're saying they want to bring into the game are going to be very frustrated with sitting here trying to level up their different heroes, because they're going to be put against really hard people, and they might win the match, but they have no incentive to be the best player on their team. Whether they win or lose, they have no incentive to be MVP or SVP, because there's no rewards for it anymore. And so leveling up a hero is going to be a very big grind. Nice little dodge that Kazuma had there. But that is the second area of concern for me, is leveling up heroes and getting them to a higher glory level so that you can get more rewards for that and stuff like that. And even just playing a hero in general is going to be very difficult, because if you want to main Johnny Jet, then all of your matches are going to be ultimately very difficult, because Johnny Jet has a lot of counters, and he is like, they're gonna see the Johnny on the team and instantly switch to Hunter, and it's just very disheartening for anybody that wants to play Johnny. And even if they do good, there's no MVP rewards. And so I think probably my third reasoning, we'll jump into one last match here. My third reasoning for not liking switching, right, you've got the countering, you've got the glory levels. And my third reason for switching that I don't like it is because it's just kind of more of a casual mindset. So you'll see we got MVP, but you don't get anything for it. So that's not very much incentive to play Fade, because he's a lower glory level hero. And obviously you don't want to go counter, 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 counter. It makes the game kind of stale, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, it's going to make it super fun because you're always playing different heroes. And the answer to that is maybe for a little bit, but when I switch to somebody off of Fade and he gets no glory points, there's not really a point in playing Fade. So what I think they should do is, especially if they're going to have these very small amount of rewards, right? My fix for switching for that problem of countering and getting glory points is, when you play a match and you have, let's say I play 5 heroes in a match, I can choose who I want to give the glory points to. Because again, you guys are like going to be like, oh, that's such a dumb idea, because then you can play a hero you're good with and give it all to your like lower level hero. So I can play Fade and then Osas, do really good with Osas, give all the points to Fade. It's like, that might be true, but it's like, it's 8 glory points. So you're sitting at 5 games per glory level if you win every single one of them. So 5 games in a row gets you 1 glory level if you win all of them. And honestly, I don't think being able to give your glory points to somebody you played but maybe didn't do good with is necessarily a bad thing, especially with, you know, the enemies like these. He's going to switch off of Victor. We might see a switch off of Gloria. Probably won't see a switch off of the Osas. So we'll grab the Victor here. So now he will switch, almost guaranteed. Unless he's sitting here trying to level up Victor for a challenge or anything like that. And that is my third and final reason for not being a huge fan of the switching, is that you can't really do challenges. So let's say I have a challenge as Johnny. Well, I'm going to have to compete with all these people that are switching heroes to counter my Johnny, and it's going to be really, really difficult for me to actually do good with Johnny enough to get some of those challenges done. I can't show this to you guys while we're in the match, but for some of the challenges, it's like do damage with Johnny or get kills with Johnny, or maybe it's spend 4 minutes in a match as Johnny, and that's really not doable when you consider the fact that they're just going to counter Johnny almost immediately. And so it really becomes a game of counters. You can't level up your glory points, and you also are going to have a very difficult time doing challenges. And that's a major... So you'll see, yep, he switched to Sindri. He's not playing Victor anymore. Everybody is going to, you know, stay... Oh, wow, we missed that. Grab this Osas here, get the quick kill. Maybe kill the Gloria if I can manage to land my shots.
Double kill.
And so they're going to switch now. And if I have a challenge as Fade, I'm going to have to make sure that not only do I play him very, very good, but every time I do good with him and win a match, I'm going to get harder and harder opponents. And it basically, it forces you to not only play certain heroes if they're good, but ignore a majority of your challenges and stuff like that. And with the small balance changes that have not come to some of the heroes, like, in my opinion, Johnny should be invisible no matter what. You shouldn't be able to see him. I understand the splash damage, but they should make his Veil of Chaos like the circle. It's like a circle right here. They should make it bigger, and they should make it where, you know, playing Hunter doesn't counter it. You don't get to counter his invisibility. He should just be invisible the whole time. Because heroes like Johnny are going to be very difficult to play with the new matchmaking and the new switch mechanic. Because not only are these guys going to be the same skill level as me, but they are purposefully going to play heroes that counter mine. Because they are taking advantage of the switch mechanic. And it means that if I want to play Johnny for my challenge, or I want to play Fade for my challenge, I have to work 3 or 4 times as hard in all of my matches. And that's one of the things that has come with these new changes. You'll see, I know Atomic is a very big creator for T3. He can't even find a match because his MMR is putting him too high, and he has to basically carry the game and get like 10 kills in order for them to have a chance at winning. So you'll see that now that they've changed all this, all of these matches are closer now. Normally against these guys, if they couldn't switch off and he still chose Victor, we would have won already. Even if they were similarly skilled, because he chose wrong. He chose Victor, and it just so happens that my Fade pick is a little bit better. And so you'll see that a lot of these games, especially in my experience, are very one-sided to whoever has the higher glory level hero. So if you're a new player and you have like 3 heroes and you're playing Iris and they pick like a Chemist to counter you or a Jabali to counter you, you can't necessarily counter pick them as well. You know, it's not going to be very easy for you to counter pick if you don't have access to all of these crazy good heroes like your enemies do. So we're definitely dead here for sure. Yep. And so you'll see that now I'm unable to switch over because I want to level up Fade, or if I have a challenge for Fade. And so this switch mechanic makes games a lot more difficult, and this is just a pub game, you know what I mean? Oh, and it doesn't go through the shield. I wasn't aware of that. So we lost the game by 1. We lost by 1 kill. And I know a lot of you guys are like, oh, well, you should just do better. Obviously, yeah, that's definitely true. But if you look at the Sindri, she got 4 kills after switching to Jabali and from Victor to Sindri and Jabali. So you can basically equate 4 of those kills off of the board if there was no switching, because they're the only person that switched their hero. And therein lies the problem. Because they were able to switch off of a different hero, they won the match. And if you would just have a game where you have all 3 of those people counterpicking the best player on the other enemy team, well, then it gets a little toxic, and you're sitting here and you're like, wow, I don't even want to play this game. And you're in a match and you can't quit. There's no quit button in T3 Arena's games. So that's my thoughts on it. Definitely let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking. I just think it's not healthy for the game. You know what I mean? I mean, we would have easily won that match if they weren't able to switch off of Victor, and I think that basically ruins all of the point of even picking a hero or having challenges. I'll show you guys this. Play 7 matches with Mark. Deal damage with Victor. If I'm sitting here and they decide to pick all DPS to counter my Victor pick, what then? How am I supposed to deal or take that much damage as Victor? Obviously, you'll like, oh, you can take it instead of dealing it, but that's going to be a lot slower than being able to deal damage while also taking it. And it really makes these challenges very difficult. I really think they should change the glory point system and the challenging system, the challenges. They need to change those two areas if they're going to keep this switch mechanic along with the new MMR, which is your matchmaking rating. So I don't even know if you can see it, but if you look at my account here and you have like an overview, right? I have 40 MVPs and only 87 wins. It's per season, right? But that shows that I'm MVP most of the time in my games, 40 MVPs and 32 SVPs, that's 72 games out of 87. That's like a 90% MVP rate or SVP rate. So usually I am the best player on the team. And now you get no rewards for it. You have glory points given to heroes based on when you play them in the match. So if I play Fade, Vincent, Victor, and Johnny, Johnny's not going to get all of those glory points, and it's only 8. And to split those up between heroes, and then to have challenges that focus on one specific hero, I just think it's not healthy for the game. Maybe in 5v5 it totally fits. In a ranked game, maybe not. But like in a casual setting, I just don't think that switching fits with the new MMR and with the challenges and with the glory point system. And then so those are the 3 areas that I think they really need to focus on if they're going to make this change a permanent addition to the game that still keeps it healthy. Because I know a lot of people are really frustrated with, they want to level up their Fade character. They jump into a match. The enemy picks the best counter, and since you're similarly skilled, they instantly win because they have the counter. And then you go into a bot match and you win, but you only get 8 glory points. And so the incentive to level up your heroes and get new heroes is very, very low. You're going to basically look at these heroes and you're going to say, okay, Gloria is a must-have. So I will skip Skady and Osos because I know that Gloria is on top of the charts right now. She's an S-tier hero. And that's where you're going to see a lot of problems, I think, with a lot of the new player base, is they're going to get very frustrated very easily because they are not going to be able to level up their heroes fast. And this switch mechanic is really going to not only hinder the matchmaking and the gameplay, but the challenge aspect as well. So let me know your guys' thoughts. Obviously, those are my thoughts, and I promised I'd make a video on it. But I'm kind of on the fence. That's my downsides to it. There's obviously a lot of plus sides to switching. It's obviously more fun sometimes, and it gets you the ability to change a hero if they pick all the counters to your hero. But there's no quit button again. So it's kind of a catch-22, and I kind of want to hear your guys' thoughts on switching and MMR and all the changes that they've made throughout this last patch. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Have a good day.